Okay, so hey y'all, this is Victoria Cirilli. I'm presenting on my packaging project for Miss Dismukes' paper screen class, and this project is one that I really enjoyed doing. I had a great time designing this, and the process was really easy for me just because I had a very good idea that I wanted to implement, and I thought that it was something that I could be really creative with. I definitely am very passionate about the particular branding slash product that I wanted to use. I chose canned tomatoes mainly because of how uh, utilized they are within the cuisine that I grew up with. My father is a really good home cook, very talented, and most of what I grew up eating was I did grow up with a very diverse, palate, but uh, the predominant food that we were given in my household was my father's really good, authentic Italian food. And that was part of the reason why I chose these particular products because they're products that I've grown up with. I really love tomatoes. It's something that I grew to love. I didn't always like tomatoes, but tomatoes are honestly one of my favorite, types of food. And dishes that involve tomatoes are really one of my favorites. And I believe that I've seen tomatoes used in multiple cuisines around the world. It's a vegetable that is very, or really it's a fruit, but it's a vegetable that is very multi useful. It's not just for the tomato sauce like what my product is, it's for a lot of other different types of cuisine. And so that's a little bit about why I chose the particular um, food product that I chose to do. Um, I loved these cans. These cans were actually in my kitchen pantry when I was at home. So I took pictures of those. As far as my inspiration goes, I did rely a little heavily on some of the placement for the nutrition information, but I really did also love the particular art style. It's something that's very Tuscan inspired. It's very, colorful. It has a lot of different values to it, as well as the logos are very, bright and very eye catching, so you can see clearly what the product is. I really liked in the Contadina brand, I really liked the use of the Tuscan villa in the background. So that was something that I drew a lot of inspiration from in my own work. As you can see on my sketches, I had planned that was kind of what that was representing in my little quick sketch that I did. Um, this was just kind of my rough idea for the original label, as well as the logo itself. I did actually also have a lot of choices to make as far as the fonts go, as far as the typography went, because as you can see, there's a lot going on in a lot of the type here. If I zoomed in on the Contadina brand, it's lined. You can kind of see it there. Um, there are a lot of different, everything is very type oriented. There's a lot of wording on here, and so therefore a lot of different style types were used. So that was something that I kind of went through the process of deciding which ones I wanted, what would look good and what wouldn't. So that was what all of that kind of culminated to into this logo that I have here. So this was the first thing that I worked on, which was the logo. And this actually is my father, a photo of him. And I placed him just at our kitchen counter. And he actually put like himself in the place. I did give him the props. I organized that bowl to look the way it did. I wanted to show like a very abundant amount of ingredients used, and as well as the wine. I thought that that was a cute little addition, just because, of course, Italian culture has a lot of wine consumption involved with that. That's just the nature of the beast. So, in order to play up the kind of Italian style that I was working with, I chose to pose him in this way, and he actually he picked up the plate to take the photo, and he positioned himself perfectly, so that was exactly what I had wanted. So he just kind of knew, which was really funny. That was, to me, that was really funny that he just kind of knew. And he was actually talking while I was taking this particular photo. He was trying to say something to me, but he ended up with this very large smile on his face. And I thought that that was really funny, so that it just kind of accidentally happened that this candid photo turned into the perfect photo for this logo. And so I really enjoyed that. He enjoyed to taking the photo. It was really funny. Um, and so I really wanted to use him in the photo because him in the logo because of how important he is in my life as far as a lot of my memories from childhood involve cooking, and they involve a lot of really delicious food. So I wanted him to be part of the label design for this. And it's Vicks Roma. Roma is, Rome, of course, and I thought that that was something that would be a bold name. It's very easy to say. It's very aesthetically pleasing to look at. And I did end up using this glyph, and I chose the glyph because to me it looked very much like kind of like a fleur de lis, or a lot of Italian patterns do have something that's like a little inflection. And I did not have any pulled up to show, but there is a lot of that kind of grain looking, like stalk looking um, imagery. I wish I had a better idea of what I was trying to say here, but it definitely to me had the same style look as what I was going for. And of course, at the very bottom, Authentico Italiano. I wanted there to be included at least a few Italian words just because to go along with the brand and what the brand was representing. It's authentic Italian food, so I wanted that to be um, placed in a way that people would still be able to understand kind of what that means. One could assume that Authentico Italiano means authentic Italian. It's very close to the English translation, so it's not like something that nobody would know what the words meant. So I did want to include a few Italian words that people would be able to read and kind of draw context clues as to what it meant. Same with La Cucina di Vic, the kitchen of Vic, or Vic's kitchen. I put that on the back of my label, and I will go to that. I put that in front of the little blurb that I had written about my father and cooking in general, as well as the recipe that I chose to use, which is a ragu bolognese. It's one of the bolognese recipes that my father has made for me countless times. It's delicious. It's really, bolognese is one of my favorite Italian dishes. And so I chose to use that for the back of this recipe, or for the back of the packaging for the recipe, because of the fact that it was easy for me to include the particular ingredients that include the tomato sauce, the particular product that I'm trying to market in the back. Because that's what you are supposed to do with any recipe that you include on a package. It doesn't make sense to include that recipe unless it does have the particular product it's on in use. So that's why I chose that, so that I could insert Vicks Roma tomato sauce as one of the ingredients to be used. And I'm really kind of proud of the blurb that I wrote on the back. I do have a affinity for writing for, kind of literary based writing. And I really enjoyed getting to create a little bit kind of this scenery that I've depicted in this blurb. And it says, a home chef has the potential to explore every province of Italy, from vineyards in Tuscany to the seaside fish markets of Naples. The flavors of Vic's Roma complement any Italian dish. Authentic Italian cuisine is Vic Cirilli's specialty, and as a professional home chef for 40 years, he has perfected the art of fresh ingredients to turn a simple bolognese into a fine dining experience. Which is very true. My father has been a home chef for 40 years. He is very skilled and has learned a lot as far as this just being a hobby, as well as his own experience in the culinary industry in other components. But I wanted to include fresh Roma tomatoes and organic tomato sauce as part of the labeling, because I wanted the product to be just as fresh and as real as the food that I grew up with. My father has made every single tomato sauce and every single, chicken stock, anything from scratch. My father has a very big talent for doing things from scratch, completely homemade. And I thought that that was important to include in this particular product just because I wanted the buyer to know that the products that are used in this particular tomato sauce, as well as any other Vicks Roma products, would be made completely of fresh ingredients. And the ingredients, as you can see, are listed over here. Um, and as far as the imagery goes, I did take all of the photos you see, as well as designed all of the graphics except for the non-GMO certified, as well as the recycle logo, the scanner code, and the nutrition label. Those were all imported in from other sources, but all of these nutrition labels are my own design. As well as all of the photos that you see here. The background I did take while I was in Italy this past summer, which was an amazing experience, and I wanted to include that in the packaging as well because obviously, if it's coming, maybe not straight from Italy, but if it's coming from an Italian culture, you want to have that present. And so I really did enjoy um, fiddling with that photo, making it lighter so that it would show up a little bit. I did end up printing this off initially for a different portfolio project, but before I had completely finished the label. And it ended up being too dark of a photo, so I had to go back in Photoshop, I lightened the photo, kind of saturated it a little bit so that the color would stay. And so that it would more perfectly blend with the rest of it. I didn't want the label to be too dark, obviously, because that would be ineffective and it wouldn't be as bright as I would want it to be. It would not match the logo as well. Um, and other than that, all of the tomatoes and the garlic and the onion were all from my kitchen back home. So everything you see is really home centered for me. Um, and I definitely wanted to depict all of that in my label and in my design for this package project. And that's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much.